Hello, marketers today have a lot of questions about Dynamics marketing. It's a platform that's evolved from sales first workloads to really sales, service, marketing, and really beyond workloads. But because of the original design of a customer 360 data model, marketing is really the area that has seen tremendous growth and allows for quick and effective personalized experiences for marketers. So we wanted to spend some time today with two of Hitachi Solutions Dynamics marketing experts who are talking to marketers across industries every day. So we have with us Phil Dudovic, who's an industry director for Hitachi Solutions. Talks to many different industry folks about Dynamics marketing every day. And then we also have Allison Fierce, who is one of our subject matter experts on Dynamics marketing, and has witnessed the evolution of this platform for many years and helped out many customers along their marketing journeys. So Phil, I was going to ask you the first question: how do I find the right contact to market to?
Yeah, that's a great question, Brad. And that's it's not always such an easy question as you might think, right? There's a lot of different conditions and attributes that you might want to think about from your customer base. And there's also different relationships internal to every firm that we might want to take into account as we start to build out these lists. So what you can see I'm showing on my screen right now is a sample Dynamics marketing dashboard. And there's a couple of different ways we can really go ahead and interact with these individual contacts and get them included with our segments or our lists. This is one common platform. So this is a really easy way to let your sellers or people who are really actively managing relationships to help get people right into the appropriate segments or marketing lists on a go forward basis. They can just jump in, look at their contact list, grab the specific marketing list or segment that they want to add those people to, and then they're added to that list. So from a seller standpoint, really easy. We're working on the same ecosystem. They can just grab those individual contacts and add them directly to their marketing list. Now, from a marketer's perspective, if we want to get just a little more sophisticated and start to think about, hey, strategically, who do we want to add or what attributes do we want to take into consideration for our contacts or our customers? There's a couple of different ways we can go ahead and do that as well. So to get started off here, you can see I'm just going to grab this existing customer segment. And what you'll notice here as this loads is to go ahead and add or define a specific customer segment, I'm just choosing different attributes about the different record types that I'm interested in about those people. So right off the bat, you can see I'm looking for contacts who live within a certain country or region, in this case, the United States. And what's nice here is if I actually click on this drop down, I actually have full access to the entire data model within D365. So anything our sellers are capturing around our contacts, we can go ahead and leverage in our marketing segments and lists. Similarly, we can go ahead and actually start to span this across multiple different entities. So maybe I'm interested not just in attributes about my contact, but also I want to know a little bit about the company they work for. I can go ahead and just add a related entity, in this case, the account or the company, and say, hey, I want the people who live in the US to be potentially interested in a specific product. And I want the company that they work for to do an annual revenue over a certain number of dollars. So this may help us pre-qualify some certain individuals or a subset of our customers to get them right on the appropriate segment for our outbound efforts. And then finally, the third thing we'll touch on, and I just sort of jumped over it right here, but you can see here we have a field where we can actually start to update and apply machine learning and artificial intelligence models to our core data model. Then we can go ahead and populate those fields within Dynamics and leverage that again on a go forward for our existing marketing list. So really, this makes it easy for us to go out and have our sellers grab people individually. We can, as marketers, define what our specific attributes look like around our customers and our contacts. And we can take that even a step further to start to say, hey, we know what our customers and our contacts look like, but we want to apply some machine learning to really make sure we're getting them on the right track. And hey, never hurts to add some pretty pictures here. We can, of course, go and just do some neural mapping around the different record types and attributes and entities that we're taking a look at and incorporating into these different segments.
After establishing right contact, how can you build a segment based on an action meaning email click, site visit, or any other type of action that we might see.
Right. And I think that's one of the best reasons to build some of these lists is to be able to interact based on the customer's behavior. So, one of the things you can do when you're building these segments is use what's called a behavior block. It'll be something you see kind of down towards the bottom. Actually, I'll just highlight this is one where we've said the email was clicked and the specific message was one of our emails we sent out. The URL is Etsy in this case, and we're just sending the customers into this list whenever they perform that activity. We can also build from scratch and come in and say, I've got a new dynamic segment where, in this case, we can listen for things like they've attended one of our events, or if I skip this, I can build something where I'm maybe listening for a form was submitted. And that's going to be a great way to add value to them whenever they give you content. So if they're filling out one of their forms, you can interact based on that behavior and give them something back, like a PDF. So in this case, if we're listening for a form being submitted, we've got options like, the emails being interacted with, but we can also come down and listen for form submissions or things like they've scheduled for an event, their recipient address isn't valid, we can trigger based on, a contact processing activity back here, or things like visiting your website. If they're visiting one of your product pages, we can add them to a list based on that activity. These are all things that we're listening for with our marketing content that we're sending out. And when we have these kind of interactions back, they live out in customer insights. It's another platform that marketing is connected to. And those types of activities are something that we can pull up here and add them to the segment. And you can layer these together. So if you are listening for a form specifically, in this case, I'm listening for one of my maintenance 101 registration forms, I can combine that with other blocks as well. So if I've got another segment that just contains people in the East Coast or people whose email address contains data, in this case, maybe I want um, one of my contacts in South Carolina lists, I can say that everybody who's performed this activity combined with some of that demographic data, like the fact that they're in South Carolina, and I can use these combiner controls to say either this is true or this is true, or more often, and also. So we can set up these kinds of activities and combine it with demographic data we've searched for before. And another cool control that I like, kind of like Phil's, is this flow view where you can see this is my first block where someone has performed that behavior, and this is a second block where people are meeting that demographic data. And my combining control allows me to specifically say, I want that intersect, people who meet column A and column B, and I'm only sending to this smaller group.
Being able to visualize those things is so important because you are dealing with so much data in these cases, and being able to kind of boil down to what's important and easily visualize that is great. The next question is, you've got you've got these, segments and activities. How do you build on top of that and build out a customer journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So right here, I'm back on my main landing page here within the marketing solution. All I'm going to do is jump on my customer journeys, and of course, first thing off, we're going to get a list of all of our existing currently going on active customer journeys. Now, if we want to go ahead and create a new one, super easy to do. All I need to do is hit my create new button up at the top, and you'll notice the solution will actually walk me through a little bit of a setup wizard, if you will, and it'll let me choose from a variety of different templates that I want to leverage as a starting point for my customer journey. Now, this is super handy when you start to think long term about, hey, maybe there's a similar type of journey or effort that we go through, maybe quarterly, maybe annually, but each time there's some small nuance or some different changes that we may want to update to those specific journeys. This lets us go ahead, create those templates, and then leverage them on a go forward basis. Now, from there, we can just choose whichever template we may be interested in. In this case, I'll grab our onboarding journey, and the system will already really queue us up with our key points and stages within that customer journey. From here, all we need to do is set our audience, and we can do that in a couple of different ways. We could go ahead and choose an existing segment like we looked at before, or we could actually choose based on some sort of an action. So, hey, maybe contact information was updated, so we want to go ahead and add them to a marketing journey. Good example of that is in this case for customer onboarding. Hey, maybe we have a client relationship. They go from prospect to current customer. Now we really want to get them into that onboarding process to make sure we're engaging them appropriately and taking care of them as they ramp up with our offerings. So a couple of different ways we can go ahead and identify our audience for this journey. From there, we can go ahead and just choose which specific actions we then want to take those customers through. And of course, we can go ahead and apply some branching logic as well. So in this case, you can see we can go ahead and just grab an email. So, hey, we want to choose a specific email template. We could just grab that, pull that right here into the core solution. And then as we go through, we can start to apply different splitters, if then sort of statements so that we can walk people through. So ultimately, towards the end of the process, we could go ahead and ultimately create a new lead record or a new opportunity right for our sellers through the marketing solution. So again, a huge value with having an integrated marketing and sales platform is as we're actually seeing those specific interactions of our clients throughout the life cycle of the marketing journey, we can actually take that to the end, create a lead, and actually schedule a phone call directly for our sellers that they'll then get a notification about and see on a dashboard when they walk into work the next morning.
One of the other questions that we get from marketers, based on the customer journey features is, can we add people to it based on their previous actions and interactions?
Right. And that's a great way to take some of those segments where we're listening to that behavior activity, and we can start with some of those. So if I'm, coming in and doing something as simple as just sending out a message, I can come in and set that audience, as Phil showed, with a segment that has that behavior in place. We can also kind of go further and choose to filter based on updating their contact info. And I know, you know, from the front, it looks like it's pretty basic. If I change their phone number in the system, maybe that's the updated info I'm listening for, and it can send them through a journey. But it can also open things up for maybe a Power Automate flow that's updating a record that can trigger activity to send them through these journeys. We also have a separate tool that's being developed. It's actually our real time marketing, where they've opened it up even further into new event triggers that will be used in some of these real time marketing automations, where you can listen to a little bit more. Like, did they fill out one of our customer voice surveys? Did they have an email get blocked, or did they log into one of our portals? Are they interacting with push notifications or text messages? And an extra cool thing about this section is you can come in and build new events that you're listening for as well. So if you've got a custom scenario and you have a team who's ready to start building out the listening mechanism for that, we can add new event triggers that would start somebody into one of our journeys. And we can use these to kick things off and start interacting.
Allison, you mentioned in there about SMS and push notifications. So I guess the question, my next question is, can we send those from the platform?
What we've been looking at in the last 10, 15 minutes or so has been sort of your traditional outbound email type marketing. Now, when we start to think about SMS, push notifications, things like that, we can really start to get a little more sophisticated and tricky about some of the things that we're actually doing from a marketing and engagement perspective. So what I'm doing here, you'll notice just down at the bottom, I switched from my outbound marketing to my real-time marketing area. And right from within here, you'll notice on the left-hand side, I have a few additional channels that I can go ahead and leverage. So we've already talked a little bit about outbound email sends, but also push notifications. So think anytime you want to send an update or a notification through a mobile application or a text message type update. And just to give you an idea of what that looks like here, I'll go ahead and pull open my link, my best offer SMS journey that we're going to take somebody through. You'll see in this case, Journey Builder looks a little bit different, but it's pretty much works the same way. We go ahead, we identify, hey, when and why are we going to start the particular journey, and then what are we going to do? So the first thing we're going to do in this case is send a text message that says liftoff, and there's some content there. We can go ahead and click on that to actually view some of the additional content, and we can get some analytics and metrics about the delivery of that specific email, or excuse me, text message. And then from there, we can go ahead and start to apply some branching logic, just like we did in the editor.
That's great. I think my next question would be just kind of building upon that. What other channels are we talking about?
If we're looking at some of these real-time journeys, we can come in and if I go ahead and start us with a basic entry point and choose a date really quickly, we can come in and send out the content through the email, push notification, or text message channels. And in here, we can even come in and use some advanced AI logic to send it through the right channel. So if you have the content prepared to go out in more than one of these channels, you can say, I want it to be a push notification or an email. You decide which one's the best one for a customer. The AI here can listen to the customer's behavior and send them down the appropriate path based on what's best for them. We've got social posting as well, so you can send out content to your Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or Instagram if I pop over to the social posts. So if you have content that's ready to go out to some of those platforms, you can choose one of those social channels and send out content over there as well.
How detailed can we get for information related to email interactions?
Here you can see I've actually clicked on a specific marketing email that has gone out and been leveraged in a customer journey in the past. Now, if we want to start to take a look at our metrics, all we need to do is look at our insights on that email. And this is going to give us all of our delivery, click, bounce, all that sort of detail, all within one place again. So you can see we have some high level overall deliverability rates about our email. We can see the total number of responses over time. So when did we have success? Send results by type. So how many were blocked, bounced versus delivered? If we had any sort of links in there, where were people clicking? We can drill down all the way to geography to see where people were engaging from. And then we can drill through, even if we want to start to get a little more detailed about that and view specific metrics around things like delivery progress. Again, total links. This shows us a nice little click map. So if we actually want to see, hey, where did people click specifically on our emails? This will show us that overall heat map. It'll also show us, hey, how many specific clicks did we get on each individual link? And we can pull this all the way through to the individual interaction level. And this is pretty important as well, because what this is showing us here is not just where people have engaged, but also who that particular person was that engaged with that email. When we start to think about this from a holistic company-wide perspective, it's going to really give us the tools to say, hey, customer X or prospect Y seems to be interested in this particular product based on their previous interactions with our content. As we start to see that history of people engaging with our products and our offerings over a period of time, we can start to actually build that timeline of history for that individual person and actually start to hand that directly over to our sellers. Now, that's pretty handy for a seller to know. Okay. So
Mhm.
no longer am I just getting something that says, hey, here's a lead, give them a call. This is actually saying, hey, this is Jason. Jason was on our website. They clicked on this particular link. They may be interested in this product. Now that you know that, go ahead and give them a call and see if that helps maybe provide some additional detail about them. And then we can take that all the way through and start to actually look at some detailed metrics. We start to collect some really cool data specifically around, hey, when are people opening our emails specifically, and when are we starting to see that success? And that can help drive some materials going forward.
Allison, if you could tell us a little bit about how do we schedule emails to go out at different times based on preferences, time zones, ability to open or likelihood of interaction.
Right. I think it's a great step forward with some of the AI. If we are using customer journeys to send out emails, traditionally you've been coming in and choosing the days of the week you think it's appropriate for the email to send, maybe the time of day that you like, or specific time frames during that schedule where you think it would be good for the customer to get the content. But with the cool AI that Microsoft's been working on, we can just turn on automated scheduling, and it's going to, whenever a contact reaches this step in the email, think about when they've opened messages in the
Mhm.
past, when customers of their demographic have opened things in the past, and choose a time frame that would be best for them. It's better for content that does not have a specific urgent time frame to send it out in, but it's a great way to, let the AI do the work for you.
How do we go about, marketers using this to host and track virtual events and engagement with those?
Yeah, great question. And this solution really runs the full span of all your different options in terms of event management. So anything from small sort of one-off webinars or training sessions, all the way through to big multi-day, multi-session, multi-speaker, maybe even sponsored in-person conferences where we're reserving physical assets and materials and rooms and all of that sort of stuff. So from a high level, you can see here, I've just popped open an existing event record. A couple of things that I'll just call out. Right up across the top, you'll notice there's a tool called the business process flow. And what that is it's a visual representation of really any process that we want to go ahead and take something through. But in this case, this is really the process that we're going to take as marketers to actually execute an in-person on-site event. So the first thing we're going to do is start to set some specific characteristics about that event. And then once we finish that, we're ready to actually move this through to the next stage of planning. As marketers, we can just start to work through the process. We can really collaborate from within here. We can all know and can be automatically assigned tasks or activities based on our roles within the marketing team. We could go ahead and start to build out what the details of this event are actually going to look like. Now, down on the bottom of my screen, you can see this is really where we're capturing all of that key detail and information. So on this first form, you can see we have our general information about the event. As you can see, we can track multiple sessions over multiple different days and actually put those and view those from a calendar perspective. And then we can go ahead and actually start to configure some specific details that we want to track all the way back through to our website. Well, we can have people click on a link then to register for our event and start to track that contact information all the way through. So we'll see, hey, Brad, if we send an email to you that says, hey, come and join us for our annual event, you can click on it, register for it, and then we're just going to go ahead and actually start to see, hey, Brad registered for this particular event on such and such a date at such and such a time. We could actually see if you check into that event, if you cancel that event, so on and so forth. And then really from a core ROI or reporting perspective, we could start to capture additional information around that event in terms of total revenue, total costs, expected results and outcomes for that particular event. A nice thing here again is because we're fully integrated and one in the same with your marketing platform, we can actually go ahead and track this all the way through from that initial marketing outreach program to the event attendance, actually see if an opportunity was created, if that opportunity was closed, and really close that feedback cycle so we can get a good grasp on our marketing ROI for our events.
Phil, next question is for you. You've got a campaign built out. How do you track campaign effectiveness?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways we can go ahead and do that. And I'm a visual person, so I always like to go with the visual answers. So of course, within the solution, there's some native dashboards. You can go ahead and track any sort of KPI or metrics that you may be interested in. But we could actually go ahead and extend that and start to leverage the power of Power BI included with the Microsoft ecosystem. So we could actually go ahead and start to take a look, not just at our key marketing information that we have right from within the core solution, but we could start to expand out and pull any other data or details that we may want to see from across various data sources. So there's a multitude of different ways we can go ahead and actually view our key metrics and effectiveness on our individual campaigns. So for starters, always like to have personalized dashboards based on the role that we have within the marketing team. So that may differ from person to person. Hey, if I'm really event focused or if I'm email marketing focused, we could go ahead and actually create configured dashboards for your specific role. Now we can actually go ahead and leverage other Microsoft tools like Power BI, which is natively integrated here within the solution, to actually pull in some additional insights and analytics. And what's nice about this is Power BI you can effectively think of as a data mashup and visualization tool where we can apply AI and ML insights to our data. So why that's important is we can actually take a look at what's going on here within the system. So all the things we've looked at today, email sends, clicks, links, things like that, leads created, all of that sort of information. And we can actually then go ahead and start to compare that data with some financial information from our core finance systems or really any other system that we may leverage from a marketing or any other capacity within the solution. So just for a couple examples here, we can go ahead and start to see, hey, if we want to start to look at customers by journey, how effective are we in including these people? How many are actually being active participants in the journeys? If we want to see how our results stack up on a journey by journey basis. So, this is great over a period of time. If we start to see, hey, we're starting to take one approach that's super effective versus another approach that's not so effective, we can go ahead and lay out those different activities by journey over time. We can actually then start to see, hey, how are we or to what degree are we generating leads based on our customer journeys? So we already saw earlier on today how we can go ahead and automatically create those leads as customers are going through the journey. But then, hey, if we want to actually start to see some of those rolled up metrics, what does our overall performance looks like? We could go ahead and do that. We can apply that then to an overall lead pipeline. And then, of course, take that all the way through to our sales team and start to see our rolled up opportunity and ROI pipeline as well. So what does our total return on our marketing investment look like? Well, it's really easy to get to that data because again, we're closing that loop. We're tracking our initial contacts through marketing, engaging them from the sales platform, actually seeing how much they buy off on as we close out those opportunities, and then reporting back on that detail right here within our core dashboards.
Allison, can you tell us a little bit more about the campaign ROI? Because I think that's what that's what marketers are ultimately going to be judged on. That is their key performance indicator, regardless of what industry that you're talking to.
Right. So with our system, we've got on our contact records the ability to see things like the last campaign our contacts have interacted with. And something Hitachi likes to do is go the extra step and kind of identify our marketing assets based on what marketing campaign we're working towards. We'll often take the native sales campaign record that you already have in your system and really add to it so that we can see what marketing content has been sort of sent out per campaign, how many marketing dollars have been put towards this particular project. We can see, if it's a direct marketing campaign, an advertisement, an event, how much financial dollars have been put towards the particular event that we're putting together. And when we do start doing things like sending out customer journeys, setting up forms, we can keep track of the individuals who have interacted with content that is part of that given campaign. When we do have the campaign record tied to our marketing assets, we can start coming into some of the dashboards that come out of Dynamics Marketing and look at things like the leads by source campaign, and we can keep track of if we know the dollar amount for the Lange test campaign and the number of leads that have come across, we can do some calculations to really figure out where the return on investment is for our team.
I think that highlights how Hitachi Solutions can really come along and help our customers and the marketers that we work with the system in a way that might not be obvious for an out of the box solution. So that's a great real world example about how we've been able to do that. But Allison and Phil, thank you so much for your time today. Our email address is right there. Website is right there. Lots of great materials on all things enterprise software. We do have a lot of great content around marketing and how the marketing platform as it stands today interacts with the rest of the Microsoft technology stack. Thanks again for joining us for this webinar. Thanks.